Sounds good to me.
Luca dead. There's
You're
another
about
one.
to get scanned. Starting the timer. A bomb is located
Another
by
one
Op
dead.
4. Op 4,
Smashed it.
last stop standing.
What's going on? It is CalCell33, and I'm going to teach you how to properly place shields and barbed wire in Rainbow Six. So, my DPI. So, yeah, I'm going to start with the shields first, and I'm using Goyo just because he has 3 of them. But this goes for, honestly, any shield, whether it's a Goyo shield or just a regular one. So, yeah, anyways, to start out, you have to ask yourself, when you're placing a shield, or just any piece of utility, honestly, is what is the reason that I'm placing the utility, and how do I get the most out of it, right? So, for instance, I see people, whenever they place, like, a shield, Goyo or whoever, they'll just put the shield in the doorway like this. And you have to ask yourself, like, what is this shield doing for me? And how is it maximizing, you know, my ability to use the utility? So a lot of times what you'll see is, I'll just say this, but this site specifically, like, teams generally don't really push L Hall too much until like it's a late round deal. A lot of times if they're gonna push what is that over there? VIP? Sorry, I blinked. If they're gonna push VIP, you know, this push through L Hall might come a little later in the round, but a lot of times they're gonna be, you know, wasting a lot of time trying to get into VIP and then blowing the wall before they even push. Now, if a team is gonna push up white stairs and push theater at all, like they might push luggage as well, this is usually going to become in the beginning of the round because they're trying to get control of this side of the map in order to execute onto theater, as opposed to taking VIP and executing on the penthouse. So when you place a shield like this, you have to ask yourself, like, what is this doing for me, right? Especially if it's a Goyo shield, right, with this box in the way, you can't even look through the slits to try and peek onto them. You know, it's basically just a piece of utility that kind of works both ways, right? As an attacker, you're safe coming up to it and you can kind of peek through. And if you see someone, obviously it's an easy kill, or if you don't see anyone, you know, then you know nobody is on the shield, right? And as a defender, it's not really an advantage to you, right? Like, sure, there are some advantages where, like, late round you could blow it and then they can't walk in, or I guess if they decide to blow it up, it's a cue that somebody is somewhere, you know, in the hallway, but you're not really maximizing it. So whenever I play Goyo on this site, which I've done recently, I'll put one of my shields this way. Nope, it's not really against the door all that well. So I'll put one of my shields this way, okay? So this one looks into the hallway, right? Then you could see luggage clearly. If they come up the stairs, you could see that clearly. And like I said, a lot of times in ranked, it's very rare that somebody's gonna start just pushing through this hallway before, you know, they have fully control of VIP, hookah, billiards, all of that. So you don't really have to worry about this hallway too much initially. So I find this shield pretty useful, right? Because it gives me the line of sight over here. You know, I could blow it and block off the hallway, right, if I want to. So that's one of the shields that I put. Another shield that I put is I'll pin it in this doorway as well. So now I can sort of hold big window if they decide to try and, like, rappel in. You know, I could watch it as well as be safe from Hall of Fame. So basically I have the hatch, right, the bathroom hatch covered, I have the window covered, and I have Hall of Fame covered with this shield. And then my back is covered, or if you're playing on this spot, right, and these walls are reinforced, you know, you could see luggage, excuse me, and the hallway if they decide to push on it, and your back is covered with this shield. And then the third one is kind of up to you. Sometimes I'll put it against this door, you know, and then you could play right here. You could hold this really well, right? Like, instead of just sticking them in the doorway, now you're able to give yourself flexibility. So whereas if it's in the door, right, and like let's just say they're over there, if you want to push out onto them, right, because they're not expecting you, you think you can get like a free kill if you push into the hallway, you'd have to vault the shield right here. And then all of a sudden, if they're over here, they hear the audio cue, oh crap, somebody vaulted, and it's an easy pre-fire to kill you. Whereas like this, with the shield like this, not only can you see, but you can like alt walk and then, kill them without them even knowing that you're pushing the hallway. And it just gives you more freedom to move throughout the site, right? And obviously this one is kind of exposed to the hallway, but as an attacker, a lot of times if they're going to push through, and then they see the shield, especially if you're playing safely behind this cover, they're just going to like blow the shield just because, they're able to get rid of that utility. So this one, it's probably like the weakest of the three, given it's more exposed to the hallway, but it still is useful for that initial early round push if they decide to go luggage and main stairs. So that's basically how I would use shields. What I'm trying to tell you is don't just stick them in the doorway. The way you can maneuver them now, and especially with these slits that you could see through, you can give yourself more opportunity to basically use them like you can move around more and use them to your advantage, as opposed to if they're in the doorway, then it's kind of you versus the attacker trying to like use a piece of utility, and you don't really have a huge advantage in that situation. So that's my opinion on how to properly place shields. Obviously, you can kind of use them to your liking, so if you don't really like it in the doorway, you could place it maybe back more. And then like if you're going to play big window, right, if you're worried about them repelling and you were going to play kind of the hatch and big window, you could place it there and then be able to, maneuver safely if you needed to back up and like move deep into penthouse. So yep, that's basically my 2 cents on shields and how to properly place them instead of just sticking them in the doorway. So now I'm going to switch over to barbed wire. Okay, now with barbed wire, the same sort of mentality goes, how can I best, or what's the reason I'm putting the barbed wire down, and how can I best maximize that utility? So with barbed wire, common spots for the site for attackers to sort of push in are, bottom blue. You're gonna need like a piece of barb there, probably something in hookah. Maybe something in the hallway so that you could like get the sound cue if they're gonna move up, because you can't really hold this because of obviously the roof. And then probably something into billiards, and if you're gonna do an extended into aqua hold, then maybe a piece of barb here, barb on that door. So sometimes what I see, unfortunately, with Cool Vibes, like if I ask somebody, can you put barbed wire at Cool Vibes, they'll like stick the barbed wire like right here, and you have to ask yourself, what is the goal of this barbed wire, right? Like maybe if you're playing up here and you're not going to actually play Cool Vibes like halfway down, I guess it could be useful, right? Because as an attacker you have to come up and then like try and punch it while being exposed. But I think the best way to maximize this utility would be to put it further down, maybe a little lower. We'll put it right here at the base of the stairs. So further down, so you could play here and still get the audio cue that they're coming down. And also, if you're playing up here, you get the audio cue and then you can get the angle before they're able to start pushing up. And the reason that you would always want the barb further down as opposed to halfway up is because even if you're planning on playing up here, right, and you're actually not planning on playing on blue, things change in the round and you have to adapt. Maybe they start pushing hallway, or I don't know, they start nading you, into the hallway, and you have to get away, and all of a sudden now you're playing halfway down blue and you're either trying to hold, the hallway push, or like, with the common rotate right here, you're gonna try and hold them if they push into hookah. So you have to sort of place the utility where you can give yourself flexibility to move around and not just be limited to this spot, right? Give yourself flexibility to play down here, because the barbed wire is still accomplishing the same thing, whether it's right there or right there. It's just this one is maximizing utility and giving you more flexibility to play multiple positions. So that's one example on stairs, right? You want to place it down there. Now, I'm actually going to go to this staircase over here. Now, in your mind, think of this as like Oregon White stairs, right? Where you're playing at the top of the stairs, and you're gonna, you want to play this spot. And, obviously the stairs are something that you're gonna have to worry about. So, how do you maximize barbed wire on this? Sometimes people will just like place it up here, and it's like, why? By the time the attacker comes up the stairs, they have a line of sight on you and they can kill you. Or sometimes they'll put it like right here, and it's like the same thing still applies. They can alt walk all the way up here, and by the time they get up the stairs and through the barbed wire, that's not enough time for you to react that, oh, somebody's behind me, and then I'm gonna try and kill them. So think about, again, how can I maximize this? Obviously you don't want to put the barb all the way down here, because sure, you're going to hear them go through that, but they can get rid of the barbed wire easily, right, to punch it, and then get away by the time you have an ability to come and kill them. So basically, this is just wasted. Like, sure, they're here now, but now you have to be even more cautious of the stairs, because number one, they're here, and number two, if you try and take your focus onto a different angle, they could come up without you knowing. So you have to play now, instead of focusing on one thing and being able to cancel this out, now you're having to focus on this, that, right, this, that, and you're kind of screwed at that point. So the best place, the most ideal place in a situation like this would be to place the barbed wire right here, for two reasons. Number one, if you're holding right here and they decide to just push through it, it gives you ample opportunity to turn around and be able to counter them. And number two, if they decide to start punching it from down here, right, they're taking it out and they hit it again. I don't want to dispatch this. Right, and they hit it again, like, you can swing on them in time before they have opportunity to get away. So you want it high enough so that they're exposed if they try and get rid of it, but low enough so that if they decide to just run through it, you have an opportunity to be able to counter that. Or you have an opportunity to be able to react. Right? And then, like, just think about your placement, like in a situation like this. If you're playing behind the bar, you wouldn't really want to put the barbed wire in the doorway, because by the time they get up to the doorway, as an attacker, they can get up to the doorway and then through it and kill you, basically before you even knew that they were there. So, like, in a situation like this, you'd maybe want it out of the doorway, so sure, they're not exposed if they decide to break it, but they can't just walk through it and then kill you, right? If they start walking through it, you have opportunity to react and shoot them before, they get through the barbed wire. So basically, like, the point of what I'm saying is, you don't have to listen to the exact places that I'm putting them. You could kind of adjust it to the way you want it, but think more critically when you're trying to place these pieces of utility and say, how can I best maximize this with the way I'm going to play, right? So that's my 2 cents on barbed wire and shields in the game. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll catch you soon.